Welcome back to another Jazz Drummer Q-Tip of the week. This week I do not have my green tea, which means I will not be reacting to another video. However, I got something better. Gregg Bissonette sat down with me. I asked him, I said, hey man, would you be up to doing a little interview? He was here in town at the University of North Texas chapter of PAS Day in Percussion. It's been an incredible weekend here at the University of North Texas, and Gregg was one of the guest clinicians, and it was incredible. This was his homecoming also because he's an alumni from the school, and this is his first time performing, actually playing at the University of North Texas. I think he's visited a couple times, but he actually sat in with the 1 o'clock, and he said it was so emotional just in the rehearsal that he was brought to tears being in that same seat he was 40 plus years ago. So I actually included a few clips of him playing with the 1 o'clock. It's kind of like a homecoming concert. Definitely check that out. This video, the whole thing is split up into 2 parts. Unfortunately, the first part, I couldn't capture the video. Something happened to my camera. I don't know, but it's a bummer. However, I got the audio. I put that part second, okay? And I put the actual video, the part 2, which with the video, as the first part. So it kind of picks up in the middle, but if you want to hear the whole thing, make sure you check out part 1. I've also included timestamps for different topics that we cover in the interview, so you don't have to listen to the whole thing. However, I recommend you definitely check out the whole thing. It's pretty incredible. You want to make sure you follow his channel. He's got a YouTube channel. You need to check that out and subscribe to that. He's putting out a lot of great videos. Also, I want to shout out my student, Todd Kiefer, for helping out with the camera work. Thank you, Todd, for helping out. And yeah, this is really fun. I want to also make sure you understand this is pretty impromptu. It was pretty impromptu. So it's a little crude. The quality's not up to my standards, but all the content is really great. The interview, I think, it was really fun. Just hearing him talk about all these different things. Remember, this guy, Gregg, has played with everybody. Ringo Starr, David Lee Roth, Bette Midler, Pat Boone, Ozzy Osbourne, Santana. He's recorded. You can hear his work on so many TV shows such as Wheel of Fortune, 10 years with recording for Friends, Family Guy, Jeopardy. I mean, he's done everything. Soundtracks include The Bourne Supremacy, The Devil Wears Prada, Payback, American Pie, Sex and the City. There's so many things that he's done. The list just goes on and on. So it was pretty exciting sitting down with him, and he's so cool and down to earth, and he's all love. So I hope you enjoy this interview that I did with the great, the incredible, and the ever so cool and kind Gregg Bissonette. Enjoy.
Anything, but I love playing different styles because I love different kinds of music. I really love Motown songs. I really love Stevie Wonder. That was Tamla Records, but it was a division of Motown. I love all the artists on the Gordy label, Berry Gordy's label, the owner of Motown, all the Motown stuff. You know, but I love songs, and songs are everything to me.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, just being around you, you're liable to hear Mr. Bissonette sing something because he's always singing. You're always singing melodies.
You sang Giant Steps yesterday.
We don't have to talk about that.
He sang Giant Steps.
I'm guilty as charged, but
oh my gosh, that was heavy.
But you remember all the lyrics and you're playing the drum beats, and so I can tell it's a part of you. It really means a lot, and you love it.
I just love songs. I mean, I love instrumentals as well.
Yeah.
But most of the instrumentals I love, they're songs. They're from the Great American Songbook. You know, how many times did Miles play My Funny Valentine? That's a song. It's a great song. My Funny Valentine, Sweet Comic Valentine. And Miles would play over it, but it's a song. The Beatles songs, the songs of, you know, Gershwin, and I Got Rhythm, and just, Ray Charles, I got to play with Ray Charles once, and it was one of the coolest days of my life. He just walked in the studio, and we did a shuffle with a big band. You are my sunshine. And he's playing and singing, and that's a song, You Are My Sunshine. And the way Ray's feel was, it was just so in the pocket. But I just love songs. So I love Brazilian songs. I love Gets Gilberto, and I love Jobim. I love bossa novas and sambas, and I love Afro-Cuban music. Ana Banda, Beto Cumbele, Irakere, Changuito, Jimmy Brantley, Horacio El Negro Hernandez, Enrique Pla. So many great Afro-Cuban drummers that just, and your Latin jazz ensemble here is phenomenal. Jose Aponte at the school. I thought when I walked into rehearsal, I was walking into Jimmy Brantley and Ana Lavanda. It was that authentic. It was so amazing. I loved it. And then we FaceTimed Jimmy Brantley, one of the greatest of all time, who played in Ana Lavanda when he was 22.
Wow.
So I just love different styles. I love old Van Halen with David Lee Roth, Michael Anthony, Eddie Van Halen, and Alex Van Halen. That group, and Led Zeppelin and the Stones. But my favorite is the Beatles. I love Stuart Copeland and the Police.
Oh, wow.
Great songs. Sting, what a songwriter.
Great songs,
Andy Summers, Stuart Copeland, and Sting, man, wow.
Yes.
And the Eagles, Don Henley, I get to work with him quite a bit. He went to North Texas. He was an English major.
Really?
Yeah, Ed Soph was an English major. Don Henley was an English major. But the Eagles, those are great songs.
Yes.
I'm a sucker for songs and the feels that go along with them.
Yeah. The feels or the drum grooves are a part of the song.
Part of the
it's
song.
It's not like, okay, that's separate from the melody. It's a part of the song. That's great.
Yeah.
I get that from you. So I wanted to ask you, how do you go about, because this day and age especially, you're doing a lot of studio work, right? You've done over the
Thank
last
God.
20, 30 years.
Yeah.
A lot of studio work. Can you just kind of talk about kind of I guess maybe there's no typical kind of session, but if you had to kind of generalize how a session might go.
Yeah.
How might that look?
The first thing that's funny about sessions, my dad from Detroit, my mom and dad, had a band together. My dad saw this truck in my driveway, taking my drums to a recording session, and he said, "You got to pay this guy?" I said, "No, Dad, it's just a cartage. It's in the budget. If you do a demo for someone, a jingle, a TV show, a movie, an album, they pay the cartage guy." And my dad said, "Man, I'll put him in those soft Beto bags, put him in my Lincoln Town car." That's pretty Detroit.
Yeah.
"I'll take him to Capitol Records, go have happy hour with your mom. We come back 3 hours later, pick him up. I get that much money per month." So my dad started the cartage company.
I see.
18 years he did cartage for me. So you never have to take your own drums. They're already set up. That's part of the recording studio thing in Los Angeles.
Right.
You show up, your drums are mic'd, they're all tuned, and they've already gotten sounds for you. And you can just, I do what I call a sound check groove. If I've got, say some people will request, could you have a 10, 12, 14, 16? Okay. Crash. And you hit everything so they're not going, "Oh, hit the bass drum for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Hit the snare for 10 minutes. Don't want to do that anymore." If you play a groove that incorporates everything, it'll help the sound guy go, because you can obsess about a snare drum, or I'm hearing snare buzz in the rack tom. You're supposed to. The drum set is one instrument.
Yeah.
It's one instrument. So play organically. So that's one of the greatest things about the Los Angeles recording session scene. The other thing that's great is that there's a lot of union work. I know Texas is more of a right-to-work state, but in Los Angeles, like the Wrecking Crew and all the albums Hal Blaine and all these guys did, Earl Palmer, those are recording sessions that were union. They were on the books, so they pay royalties.
Oh.
If you do movies or TV shows, I did the show Friends for all 10 years with my brother. They monitor all that, and when it goes into syndication, you get royalties for that. That's the way it's supposed to be. When you do a non-union session, there's no royalties.
It's
a one-off.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that they don't really, if they're calling John J.R. Robinson or Harvey Mason, or they're calling
Peter
Erskine or Alex Acuna or Bernie Dressel or any number of players. Omar comes out and works all the time. They don't say, well, this is going to be, this style, and this is going to be, we're going to play an Afro-Cuban song, and we're going to play an old school Motown song, and we're going to play a rock AC/DC song. They just know that all those people can play anything, so they call them, and you don't know till you get there
what you're
playing, and you say, well, so what snare should I use? Oh, this first one's kind of like an Eagles. Really low with a lot of gaffer tape, super low. Or this is like a Jeff Lynne, ELO, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Free falling. That kind of feel with the low snare.
Yeah.
They might say, this is like a Steve Jordan kind of like Snakes. Marcus Miller too. So you get your other snare or your piccolo.
And so do they have all that equipment available to you? Or?
Your cartage guy is always required to bring at least 4 snare drums. One that's got a deep, fat tuning. I have a signature snare with Dixon, 6.5 hammered brass. I always keep it really low and really deadened, and it goes. And that works for AC/DC, it works for the Eagles, it works for Electric Light Orchestra. I always have a piccolo that sounds like Steve Jordan's, even though Steve told me he had a 6.5 crank.
He cranked it up.
Cranked. So I also have a 6.5 that's like, gang, with no muffling, gang, because people reference Steve Jordan,
of course,
one of the greatest recording session drummers ever. Then I have like a 5.5 that's tuned like Steve Gadd, because he's another studio giant, like 50 ways to leave, kind of middle of the road tuning, and a little bit of dampening. And then if it's a jazz thing and you're playing with brushes, you got a snare that doesn't have anything on the front end, just like a Remo coated head, and you pull out your Vic Firth brushes, the purple ones. And then that's the snare that has no muffling on it. Right. Sometimes they'll say, well, we want a Ringo tea towel. Ringo, at the Abbey Road sessions, he used to drink tea all the time, and they'd go into the kitchen, and the women that were drying off, the ladies, he'd say, can I borrow that tea towel? And he'd put them on his drums. Come together was tea towels.
Wow.
And the snare, if you look at Get Back, the Peter Jackson movie, Ringo's got a white tea towel with red stripes on the snare and the floor tom. Get back to where you want.
Amazing.
So you keep the tea towel with you. And so, but I have a studio, it's not mine, but it's where I record a lot.
I see.
Because people want to send you files.
So how much are you doing that compared to flying out?
Well, most
places.
of the stuff I do, it's about 50-50.
I see.
Like I do Family Guy, that TV show, and I do American Dad sometimes in different movies, and that's always at like Fox or Sony.
Big studios
with orchestra.
With the orchestra,
Or maybe I'll work at Capitol or A&M, which is called Henson, or the Village in Santa Monica, where Steve Gadd played the Asia drum solo.
Wow.
I tell him I'm on that same rug you were at.
Where was that again?
Santa Monica studio called The Village.
Wow.
And that's where he did Steely Dan Asia. I worked there a lot. And but I'd say the other half the time I work at a place called Woodcliff Studios, and my friend Frank Rosado. Not to talk money, but it's important because you got to know what to charge. He's $80 an hour for his studio and his great engineering with a 2-hour minimum. Somebody can't go, oh, we just want to do like 5 songs in an hour, and he gets $80. He's got a 2-hour minimum.
I see.
And I do the same thing with Union double scale, but I charge 2-hour minimum. And so you go there, you drive there, you're stuck in traffic. You got to get there. That could be an hour. Once you get there, you got a 2-hour minimum. And then you never tip to your drummers. Never send the files back until they've PayPal'd or Venmo'd you first. Then you send them the files.
Absolutely.
We have a big old computer where we can flip a switch and they can watch me play, or they can watch me write my charts. And then they'll give me pointers, and we'll listen to the playback through the board right in real time. Well, could you go to the bell on the chorus? Could you make the hi-hat a little looser?
And this is for like film work?
For
film
mostly for records.
Records, okay.
But some film work we've done there.
Okay.
But the producers always, like if they're in Japan or they're in Australia or Germany or wherever, London, they can be on FaceTime.
I see.
Watching it go down in real time, and they can hear it on their board in real time too.
Wow.
So then we'll flip the camera and I'll be out in the control.
Amazing.
Let's try a take like that. And I always use different colored Sharpies. I have a yellow legal pad or a white legal pad, and I'll write the original thing. Here's another thing. Don't let people say, well, we'll send you the music, because then they expect you to know it. and you don't know what they're going to want. So you learn the music when you're there. That's the way the recording industry has always worked. You show up, you get sounds, you find out what kind of thing. Well, let me hear the first tune. And usually in a couple tunes, I can transcribe the feel. This is the intro, this is the verse, these pushes are here. Here's the B section, there's the chorus. Now we're going to go to the bridge.
Wow.
Okay, and then you do a take, and then you come in, you listen, and they go, could you do a washy crash on the bridge? Could you do floor tom for the bridge?
Yeah.
You know, on pop songs and stuff. And so then we'll do another take, and I'll write with red Sharpie. The next take, I might write green Sharpie.
I see.
So I know what they want these things.
I see.
And it's really become a super kind of fun formula to finding out what they want. And usually within, the great thing about Pro Tools is you can do a straight take, kind of like their drum demo, whether they use Badass Drummer or Liquid Grooves or a drum machine or whatever loops they got, whatever fills they program. I'll do a take that's kind of like that, but it's my drums in a great studio with the real cymbals and real drum sound with personality. And then I'll do take two a little bit more the way I'd play it if I was in the band.
Okay.
And then take three might be a little
you give them
wilder
some
take.
options.
And then they can just Apple C,
Amazing.
Apple V, and use what they want. Give them 3 takes always.
I see. So, I mean, the list of credits as far as, not to mention the bands you've played in.
Oh, man.
But the shows that you've recorded on, the soundtracks you've recorded, it's long. I mean, we'd be here all day.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you, like, what's it like to hear, to watch a movie or to be listening to something, watching a commercial or watching a show, knowing that that's you?
Well, it's the biggest
playing
thrill.
drums.
It's the biggest thrill. The other night, about a week ago, I went to the Grammy Museum downtown LA, and the director of this new movie that just came out last week called Sweetwater was doing the playing, and Peter Erskine played on a song. I got to play on a lot of it, and it was a movie about Nat Sweetwater Clifton, the first black NBA basketball player.
Wow.
1949. He signed with the Knicks.
Amazing.
It's like the Jackie Robinson 42 story, but for basketball.
Yeah.
And so the actor that played Nat was there. Richard Dreyfuss is in it. And so anyway, the music was so cool, and it was really featured. A lot of swing, a lot of jazz, a lot of old school stuff, a lot of big old boom bass drum, a lot of high bebop, kind of Roy Haynes bass drum, and a lot of brushes, but then kind of the Gene Krupa, Cozy Cole style, and a lot of blues like Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters. But he was on the Harlem Globetrotters. Remember that team?
Yeah, of course.
And they were like jokesters, but he was incredible. So he signed with the Knicks, and it's a story of his life. But seeing that film, and then when the director is really cool and he likes musicians, having him put Peter Erskine and my name in the credits,
unbelievable.
we're like, wow, we're in the credits of this movie.
So it still excites you.
Very, very much.
That's amazing.
Peter called me once and left me a voice memo because there's a movie called Best in Show. It's a comedy about dog shows. And Christopher Guest, great actor and director, he did it. And the end credits was my friend C.J. Vanston. Really hard, crazy credits, like really hard music. Lots of different styles, from Dixieland to Afro-Cuban to bluegrass to blues to 17/8 Mahavishnu, and the credits were like this 5-minute song. And Peter called me, he goes, because his kids are into film, he called and said, man, you did Best in Show, that's one of our favorite movies. And to have Peter Erskine, one of my heroes, say, I saw you in the credits for a movie.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh.
That's
so if you get a
amazing.
chance, watch Best in Show and don't turn it off before the credits.
There you go.
End credits.
Okay, so just to kind of talk about the place that we are in right now, the office. This is my office now. You see kind of some writing behind me, symbols. If you ever come visit North Texas, you'll come to this office. But this is your first time back to this office, this school, in 40 plus years. And I think you maybe have a special place in your heart for this school. And what did it do for you as far as your career goes?
Thank you, Quincy. Well, this room is very special. It's your room now, but years ago, I got a great drum teacher named Henry Oxdell. Had his drum set there, facing against that wall, and he had the guest lesson drummer, a drum set facing the wall. And we had so many years of lessons. And in the other building with the great Ron Fink, and also a guy that was named Charlie Hammond. He wrote a book called The Long and Short of It, how to really articulate long and short sounds, kind of the Mel Lewis way of shouldering the ride for a long sound and tipping the ride for a short sound. And he passed away. He built his own plane. He flew himself to a gig in Tyler and the plane crashed and he died. But he had Hammond music on the square. And Mark Ford took me to dinner at this place, LSA Burgers.
LSA Burgers.
And we're looking over where Hammond music was.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm getting so emotional. But when I left North Texas to move to LA, the jazz band director of the 1 o'clock gave me a list as long as your arm, like 40 or 50 people that were already North Texas graduates that were doing it in LA, mostly recording session musicians. And I would just cold call every day. And because I mentioned North Texas and Leon Breeden, they'd get me on recording sessions.
Amazing.
They'd get me on rehearsal bands or live gigs or just jam sessions. And then you meet people, you network, you exchange numbers, and you recommend each other. So the people I met here, and the teachers were amazing, but the other drummers, Michael Baker, I want to do a shout out to Michael Baker. We would practice all the time together. He really got me into Tony Williams, Mark Cranny, Gino Vanelli, brother to brother. Michael left here and went on to play with Joe Zawinul's Weather Update, and he went on to be Whitney Houston's musical director and drummer for 15 years.
Amazing.
He played with so many people, and he's doing great. I think he's back up in Duluth, Minnesota.
Wow.
But the people you meet, my brother and I went to school here together too. He was came a few years later than me, but we made so many contacts here and great musicians, friends, most of all, friends.
Right.
And our philosophy because of our parents is that everybody is equal. We are all God's people. And whether you didn't make a lab band or you're playing in the 1 o'clock, whether you got a gig that's paying great or you're homeless on the street, whether you have a penny to your name or a gazillion dollars, we are all God's people. We're all equal. And that was the coolest thing about coming here and just everybody hanging out.
Yeah.
Everybody we're all in the cafeteria eating, talking about what we want to do. And the friends I've made here, I've kept all my life.
Wow.
And so that's
really
a
special.
great thrill.
I love that. It's special for me to witness you coming back.
Well, they have auditions, and you probably don't know this, but where the practice north and south are, raise your hand if you know where those are. Practice north and south. Well, that parking lot there behind it wasn't really a big old parking lot. It was a place where this long rectangular building called the Lab Band Hall was. And there's Ron in there, and there's Jim Hall, and there's Henry Oxtel, and there's Bob Stroma. And I'm going, this is intense, man. This is an audition and a half right here. So I wonder what they're playing. So it was 120 degrees, late August, early September. I decided to just go outside for a walk. So I walk out the practice room. I hear this tune, and it sounds like a Don Menza song. Raise your hand if you know who Don Menza is. Okay, Cadenza Menza, that was his name, right? Cadenza Menza. So I hear this tune, and then I kind of walk by, and I'm hearing something I'm not supposed to hear. I'm hearing the song that they're auditioning drummers on. So I rush back to my practice room. This is 1978 now, much later. And I take my turntable. You have a turntable? No. I take my turntable and I get out there was who had this song? Clark Terry version, a Louis Nelson version, and a Buddy Rich version. And I put all three of them on, put the record on. Oh, I know that song, yeah. So I played to it like 10 times. And then I look, it's 3:15, it's time for my audition. And Ron Fink's probably wondering why I'm not looking at the music. Guys, can we sing letter T? 1, 2, letter T, just sing and. okay, here we go. And I got it at 2 o'clock. And then the drummer in the 1 o'clock was this amazing drummer named Joel Fulgham. And there was another guy named Mike Baker. And Joel couldn't do it for one reason or another. I think Bruce Hall was another guy. Bruce Hall, there was a guy named Bruce Hall. Believe it or not, he's on Lab 79. And he didn't take enough credits, so he couldn't play in the 1 o'clock. So Mr. Leon Breeden calls a few of us in the room and says, well, Bruce Hall can't play in the 1 o'clock, so you got the gig. And I went, ah! And I felt like my life changed. All of a sudden I'm walking to Kerr Hall. That was where we always ate lunch. Do you still eat lunch at Kerr Hall? They got rid of the cafeteria. Okay, anyway, I'm talking too much. This is that song, Don Menza's Time Check. Thank you so much, Alan, for having me here. That was good.
also.
Thank
just
you,
to see
Quincy.
that. And also, I was wondering, you mentioned you've been playing with Ringo Starr.
Oh, yeah.
I think, we need to just talk about
Please.
what that means to you and what it's like to play with such an icon of the instrument of music, period.
Yeah. Well, so Ringo, my favorite band as a kid, along with, Count Basie and Motown and rock bands and Led Zeppelin, was the Beatles, and still is the Beatles. I love the Beatles, and I love the songs, and the drum parts on those songs really make the songs.
Right.
And he's a song drummer. He never plays too many fills.
Just like you.
And I get to be in his band.
Amazing.
Right where the camera is Ringo's kit. And I have a 4-piece kit, 2 crashes and a ride, no chinas or stacks.
Simple.
Yeah, it's simple. And I can see his bass
love
drum.
that.
I can see his snare. And usually the crazy thing, I didn't know till I started jamming with him the last 20 years, is the verses, he never plays traditionally. He's always playing match. The verses are always snare drum in the middle. But the choruses, he hits rim shots. And he always, most of the time, goes to the bell. But he plays on the inside of the bell. The outside of the bell. And for like Steve Gadd, and you got to, it's hard to go. Anyway, he plays on this side of the bell.
Wow.
He's hitting rim shots, not overpowering or not overplaying, just really getting the tone out of them. Hitting really, like a medium, but really pulling the tone out of the drums. And he puts his back into it too. And we're playing, and I'm crying usually most of the time because I'm looking at him, thinking of the songs that he played and the songs we do play. We do Boys, we do I Want to Be Your Man, we do a Back Off Boogaloo, double drums, and just seeing him there and being his friend. And he never.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been playing double drums since over 20 years.
Amazing.
Since 2003. Been in the All-Star Band since 2008. But he doesn't read music. None of the Beatles did. He doesn't really want to get in deep, like Rosana, for instance.
Yeah.
Toto's song, Jeff Porcaro. And it's all that ghost note stuff, like Bernard Purdy plays on Babylon Sisters.
Right.
Or what's the other song?
The other one is
Home at Last.
Home at Last, yeah.
Those little things like that. Jeff Porcaro did those things a lot. And Ringo says, what should I play on Rosana? I said, play whatever you want. You're Ringo. He said, but I don't do all that. I said, those are ghost notes. Yeah. I don't do those ghosty notes. And I said, well, I'll go. Why don't you just go? And he says, I'm not so much of a guy. I said, you just go have fun. People come to see you.
That's all that matters.
They just want to see you playing and having fun. And if you're not stressing about the songs or the parts or the ghost notes, and you let me do that, I can cue you. He loves when I cue him because he doesn't want to have to think about stuff. He wants to look at the guy in the Sergeant Pepper suit or the lady with the yellow submarine sign. He just wants to give love. He's all about love.
That's what the music's about.
It's about love, yeah. He wants to give them love and they give him back love. He's going to be 83 in July. He's got ripped abs and cut arms, and he just plays so joyously.
Wow.
And he doesn't have to play. He doesn't need money. He plays because he says the more you play, the better life is. Didn't Elvin want to die on his drums?
I think that's what keeps musicians young. Roy Haynes is still, he's not super healthy, but he's 97 and he still plays. I just got a video of him playing. Elvin
Haynes
played, like there's especially drummers.
Yeah,
we tend to stay in shape and we're pretty health conscious.
Elvin played right to the end.
That's right.
So did Tony.
Right. So did Tony.
I was studying with Tony right before he died, and he passed away unexpectedly, going in for a gallbladder surgery.
Yeah.
But he was playing like crazy. And the last thing he started asking me was like, what do drummers in different metal bands use? I said, why? What cymbals? And I said, Tony, you got the K's, man. You're the guy. We want to have.
You're the man.
He said, I've done that. I've already done that. Now I want to know, what does the guy in this rock band use? And this, I said, well, they're not great. What do they use? And he ordered them. They're like some of them were just like clank, clank. But he said, I want to have my new band with Lyle Workman. I want to have it be a cross between Lifetime and like Megadeth, metal. And he played one show at the House of Blues in L.A. and then he passed away.
Wow.
But he had a double bass kit.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah. It's not filmed, but a lot of my friends were there. Don Lombardi from DW was there. Garrison, his tech, double bass 24s, 24 by 18s,
Wow.
I think, double bass DW kit, yellow
Wow.
with red hardware, and all these crazy Zildjians that were not Ks.
Wow.
They were more like the Zs and stuff, and As, loud
Amazing.
rock cymbals.
Right.
But he made him sound like
course.
Tony Williams with that grip
I
from
can
behind.
only
and
imagine.
just
Yeah.
like Fred with a rock band.
Right.
And he was so into looking ahead. He said, remember the past and honor the past, but don't be stuck in the past. Always look to the future.
I think that's a perfect kind of way to just finish this interview,
Okay.
because I feel like that's what you do.
I'm trying.
You're all about the history. You're about the tradition and the authentic approach, and
Thank you.
And being true to the music, keeping the music first. But you're also open and looking ahead, and being expressive with who you are. I mean, you're such a bright person, and everybody feels good around you.
Thank you, Quincy.
And it's true with your music as well. You do that musically and also personally.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say thank you for doing what you do, and for sharing so much love through your music. And
Thank you.
And also teaching. I know you do a lot
I
of
love to
teaching.
teach, and I'm a big fan of your teaching and your YouTube channel.
I appreciate
I've
it.
seen them all, and I love them,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you.
So inspirational and educational, and you're such a wonderful player. And like we said, we both come from Michigan.
That's right.
So we got a lot of the same.
Fellow Michiganders.
Fellow Michiganders. That's right, man.
Well, and you started a YouTube channel, so
Finally.
make sure you follow his YouTube channel
Please.
as well.
Subscribe, as they say.
Subscribe, exactly.
Subscribe and
like all the videos. And I just want to say thank you, Greg, for doing
Quincy,
this so
thank
great.
you, man. I appreciate
Man.
it so much.
We'll get you back here
I am
again.
ready anytime.
Okay.
Thank
all right.
you.
Thank you. You guys take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye. That was fun,
Done.
man. Woo!
All right. I am so excited to be here sitting across from one of the world's greatest drummers, and I really mean that. I'm honored to have Mr. Gregg Bissonette here.
Thank you.
And this is actually a homecoming for him, because he was here, he graduated, he went to school here 40 plus years ago.
42 years ago, I graduated.
Oh, my.
81, Quincy.
1981. And when's the last time you actually participated and played in a band here?
Yeah, I was sitting in Lab Band West. Is that what you call it?
Yes.
And
By the way, we're at University of North Texas, where I teach and where Greg attended school. So.
And when I came here, it was North Texas State, but then it lost the state, and it's University of North Texas now. But it used to be North Texas State University.
Amazing. Okay.
And I was sitting in that Lab Band West, right where the drums are. But we had a drum riser back then. No drum riser now. I was sitting there playing with the 1 o'clock yesterday, and I started tearing up, because it was 42 years ago, 1981.
Wow.
And a lot of these guys aren't even 20 years old, so it's more than twice their lifetime.
Amazing.
1981.
And I was there. I'll put up some footage of that I caught sitting right next to the drums,
Please.
and you played your heart out. It was so great to
Thank
be there
you.
and witness that
Thank you,
homecoming
Quincy.
performance. So
Thank you so much.
And so there's so many things that I want to ask you. I think one of them I was thinking about as you were giving your clinic today
Okay.
was, I would love for you to kind of talk about maybe a pinch me moment, maybe early on in your career. You've done so much, but maybe one of the first times that you were like, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Okay. Well, I've got a few of them, and I'm going to start with here.
Okay.
Because the goal as a drum set player, I was a music education major, loved teaching, but the goal was to get in the 1 o'clock lab band.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy task, because when I was here, I think there were 126 drummers. Not all of them were serious about it, but it was heavy, a lot of drummers. And so when I finally got in that band, I was just walking back to my apartment down the way going, I'm in the 1 o'clock. I'm in the top band. Because the reason I came here was because Steve Houghton played on Lap 75, and my band director gave me that album, and I went home and listened to it. I want to go there.
Wow.
So the fact that I was in the 1 o'clock, that was a pinch me moment. A second pinch me moment for me was when we went back and played in Detroit, my first gig ever with Maynard Ferguson. My brother was already playing bass. We
Your
played
brother
it.
Matt,
My brother
right?
Matt was
Yes.
playing bass. He was in the band first, and he got me the gig. And our first show with me was in Detroit, actually in Warren, Michigan. You got to do the right hand.
The right hand,
Warren,
yeah.
Michigan. at Lincoln High School. And my parents were there, my aunts and uncles, my sister, of course, my high school girlfriend. And it was like, I am playing in Warren, Michigan with Maynard. And then another pinch me moment was playing Cobo Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Downtown Detroit
yeah.
with David Lee Roth.
We're both from Detroit. I mean,
Yeah.
from Michigan, by
Yeah.
the way. I'm from the other side in Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids and Warren.
That's right.
So I auditioned. David Lee Roth was in the band Van Halen.
Wow.
And he left Van Halen in 1985 and started his own band with Steve Vai on guitar, Billy Sheehan on bass, and me on drums. We played Cobo Arena, and we graduated. My high school graduation was in Cobo Hall. So playing there with David Lee Roth, a big pinch me moment.
Wow.
And another pinch me moment was playing at the Fox Theater in Detroit with Ringo.
Oh, wow.
We played the Fox, and we're playing the Fox again soon. So
Well, I want to come back to you playing with Ringo.
Okay.
That's like an incredible experience. It sounds like it'd be incredible.
It's so much fun.
But I also want to just kind of talk about your time in Detroit.
Yeah.
Growing up in Detroit, what was it like just around that such a serious, incredible music scene?
Yeah.
Incredible musicians.
Yeah.
Just talk about growing up in Detroit a little
Okay, because my dad had the house gig downtown Detroit, a place called the Rooster Tail.
Okay.
And the Rooster Tail was a place where it was like a big, big club, a lot going on. And there was a band called Rare Earth. And Rare Earth played upstairs and my dad played downstairs. And they would flip-flop. And Rare Earth did a version of the Motown, "Get ready, 'cause here I come.
Yeah.
Get ready, 'cause here I come." And go to YouTube, type in Rare Earth, Get Ready. You'll hear this long extended rock drum solo. And so, but Elvin Jones would play Detroit and New York, Detroit, New York, Detroit, New York with Coltrane. And that was the only two cities that Coltrane would play for a long period of time. So as a kid, I got to go hear them. There was a place called Baker's Keyboard Lounge.
Yep, it's still there.
It's still there, man.
It's still there.
And so I would hear Elvin in there. I saw Art Blakey there a lot. You could just go hear all these bands. Big, big jazz town. But also, kids, the reason Detroit had Motown records, because Motown, it was the Motor City. It's where cars used to be made. Motor City, Motown, Ford, GM, American Motors, Ford, and General Motors. And a lot of my family, I mean, not my family, but my neighbors' families, their dads had jobs. My dad used to work at the Chrysler plant, assembling Chryslers, and then do jazz gigs at night. But it's called Motor City.
Your father was a drummer.
My dad was a drummer.
Wow.
And I used to sit in with his band.
imagine.
Yeah, he had the band, the house band at the Rooster Tail, and he was the drummer. And the Bud Bissonette band. My mom used to play jazz vibes in his band. And my aunt played piano.
Come on.
Yeah.
A
So
whole family affair of music.
and then
That's
my
big.
brother, played electric and upright. My sister took violin lessons. She works for the company in LA that runs Coachella and owns
Wow.
the Staples Center and a lot of those
Wow.
things. She's violin. But my whole family's super musical. Both my kids play drums. My daughter is also a vocal major at Berklee College of Music
Oh, wow.
and songwriting and conducting. She's so into music. And so is my son. They're both really good drummers since a young age.
Give them a little shout out. What are their names?
Noah and Mary, how are you
Hey,
guys?
Noah and Mary.
I love you. Anyway, so grew up playing in Detroit with my dad's band. Then my brother and I had a band in middle school. We'd play dances, but then we had a band in high school. There was a park downtown called Grand Circus Park.
Okay.
Right in the middle of downtown. And we liked that name, so we called it Grand Circus Park. My brother Matt on bass, Brian Biggs on guitar, Sante Bologna, that's pretty Italian.
Wow.
Sante Bologna on keyboards, Bert Snover trombone, Eric Cott trumpet, Eric Cott sax, Rick Kostruva trumpet, and Doug Burns singing. And we played all over Detroit, mostly high school dances and parties.
Okay.
And then I came down to North Texas. So I kind of left before I did a lot of clubs. Like there's so many clubs in Detroit
Right.
and so many
Right.
different scenes. The one thing that was funny about Detroit,
Yeah.
unlike LA,
Okay.
is in LA, you can be known as somebody that plays swing, that plays Latin music, that plays R&B, that plays rock, and that plays country. And they'll call you, as long as you're a drummer that they know the name, you'll get a call and you won't know when you show up at a session what the style is. In Detroit, it was a bit more, oh, you're a jazz drummer.
Oh, okay.
You don't play rock. You're a rock drummer. You don't play jazz. There were just these scenes.
You get typecast.
Yeah, like Benny Benjamin was Motown.
Right.
But Benny Benjamin would play jazz gigs, and after the jazz gig...
Did you meet Benjamin?
I never got to meet him.
Okay.
And Pistol Allen and Your Real Jones.
Yeah.
Barry Gordy would hire these guys to play after hours from like 2 in the morning till 9 in the morning.
Wow.
They got like $10 a song or $10 an hour. Yeah, the guy that did My Girl, boom, 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 with $10. That's just not right. Look at the Funk Brothers video. It's pretty
that's
like the Wrecking Crew in LA. But yeah, Detroit was a big, big music city. We had CKLW, which was Windsor across the street. All they played was Motown 24.
Wow.
So you could hear Smokey Robinson.
So that's all in your bones. The Motown sound.
The Motown sound. Benny Benjamin, Pistol Allen,
Amazing.
Your Real Jones, those drum grooves. I know you want to leave. Temptations, Smokey Robinson and Miracles, Marvin Gaye, the Jackson 5, Stevie Wonder. Oh, what a town for music, man.
I can't imagine. So then my
and Elton's
question,
from Detroit.
That's right.
Sorry.
The Jones family.
The Jones family.
So who are some of your early drumming influences? Obviously, there's the scene, but then you're at home, you're checking out music on your own. What are you checking out, and who are you checking out?
Well, the big thing, it's going to sound old school, but the radio, because that radio station, CKLW, they would play Edwin Starr. I got 25 miles to go, and I can hear my baby calling my name. Like James Brown kind of grooves.
Yeah.
And those songs, and listening to a LA band with James Gatson called Charles Wright and the 103rd Street Watts Band. Express yourself. So I'd hang out a lot with Gatson in studios.
Wow.
He'll be in one room, I'll be in the other. He's playing next week, and I'm going to be down in New Braunfels, Texas, doing a thing for Brad Arnold. But he plays a lot around town.
Really?
And he's just never changes his heads. Just real. Just like Clyde Stubblefield and Jabal Starks and James Gatson.
Wow.
Huge influence on those early albums that I bought and listened to from the radio.
Right.
But the first band I ever saw
Yeah.
was at Madison Heights. Remember that city?
No.
It's Detroit, Warren, Madison Heights, Royal Oak. And so my parents took me to Madison Heights High School Auditorium to hear Count Basie.
Oh, wow.
And Rufus Jones was playing.
Rufus Speedy
Jones. He was playing. It was so great. The second concert they played, my dad was playing at a hotel, and the Beatles were staying there, and he got 6 tickets. And my brother and I and our neighbors saw the Beatles live when I was 7 years old in '66 at Olympia Hockey Arena, where the Detroit Red Wings played hockey. They played there.
Wow.
But there were just so many, all the time, so many concerts
in
in Detroit, big music city.